Hello, this is Edna White, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Today, I want to talk about what is your superpower. So, we hear this all the time, and I'm going to impart to you today what it is. And it's so important to know. So, what is your superpower? And when we talk about superpower, we always think about the superheroes like Batman and Robin. We think about Superman, Wonder Woman. We think about Spider Man. We think about heroes all the time, right? Today, we're going to talk about all three sides of the superhero. Now, I'm going to give you an exercise, right? That's going to help you figure out what your superpower is. But first, you're going to answer the question, what is a superpower? So, what is a superpower? Your superpower is a contribution, the role that you put on this earth to fill. It is what you do better than anyone else. And tapping into that would not only help you, but it'll help everyone that you're around. And it'll help you find satisfying work and you'll be satisfied in life, believe it or not. So it's how you show up in the world in every aspect of your life, your love, relationships, and in your business. So we're going to talk about that to get you started in your superpower. Now, my superpower is Storm. And she's part of the X-Men. And I relate very well with her because in her regular state without saving anyone, she's talented, she's smart, she's reserved, and she has things under control in her life, right? She's kind and she's relatively happy, right? That's me on my alter ego side. But then when the hero side happens and I have to save the world or save someone else, such as Storm, I use the elements that are around me to help do that, to help inspire, to help achieve, to be super and save or recover what was lost. But in my dark side, should I be too angry and too out of control, I can actually harm the earth and harm the people that I am around or trying to save. So, those are three areas that you need to look at in your superhero life. Now, let's talk about your superpower at work, in your workplace, in your business. What do people come to you for? How do you help them? And what questions do they ask you specifically? That tells you what your superpower is at work. It also tells you what your abilities are. So, for example, if you're a great listener, people come over to you and start talking about things, and you speak back to them exactly what they're saying to you. In no uncertain terms is it muddled. It's exactly what they've said to you, and yet you put a spin on it to inspire them. That is your superpower, listening. Because believe it or not, people don't have conversations to listen. They have conversations to have a great answer. It's always like an interview. And when you get someone who's a great listener, if you are a great listener, that's a superpower. That's a skill that is learned and respected and loved by most people. So that's a superpower. Now, in your personal life, that can also be a superpower because you're inspiring somebody. You're feeding back, you're making them feel validated and necessary and heard when you speak back what they have said to you, right? The downside of that part, that the dark side, when you listen too much, you get too absorbed into what they're talking about. You get too absorbed, and then you kind of take it home, or you take it with you, or you carry it with you, and you become a bag lady. And you have all of their stuff on you. So you don't really want that. You want to be a listener to be able to control the dark side of you. Okay? Which does that make sense? Okay. So that's what a superpower is. Now I'm going to give you an exercise. And I want you to get your pen and paper and do this exercise. And it's a simple exercise. It's questions to ask you for you to know what your superpower is. Now, when you understand what your superpower can actually help others. It's good business. It's true grit. It brings out the best in other people. It brings the strengths out in other people when you know your superpowers. Adversely, when you don't know your superpowers, you absorb the strength of the team. You absorb the strength of the person you're having a conversation with. You absorb their strength, and it becomes very undecisive, very unclear, and it weakens everyone in the group, in the workplace, and who you're having a conversation with. It also diminishes the thinking power of the person that you're with, diminishes it. So think of Superman's, I think, all, not all, the one that was always against him, his superpower is always draining. Every other alter hero always drained the power out of whatever they were um, doing. So think of it that way. If you're not a superpower, you're a negative power, and that pulls the strength out of everyone, your team members at work, the people that you're in your family, or the person that you're having a conversation with. It drains the strengths, drains the powers. It's the adverse of the super. Okay? So keep that in mind when we complete this exercise. Now, question number 1. What do people come to you about the most? Okay? Number 2, how are they coming to you to ask that question? And number 3, what are you known by other people to have that helps their lives? What are you known as? What do people say you bring to the table? And if you can answer those 3 questions and have fun with it, you'll find your superpower. Now remember, there's a shadow side of the dark side. For every strength, there's a corresponding weakness. So you have to remember that because you're super, doesn't mean that you don't have a shadow side. If your superpower is empathy, for example, your ability to consider everyone's side or thinking can lead to delays in decision making. Those who come naturally to systems thinking that they might have a focus, so much of the process, they hold on to things. As an empath, if you have empathy, you hold on to things. Remember I said that? Understanding your shadow side is just as important as being aware of your superpower. And maybe even more important to figure out how best to work with yourself and be able to work with your team with your shadow side under control. If you're a great devil's advocate, right? There's people who are great devil's advocate, can ask the right questions to get everyone to give great feedback that pushes people to the point of giving, suggestions and pushing their minds and challenging their minds. But yet, the shadow side of that is don't alienate people. Don't push them so much that they're alienated and don't say anything. Think about how you can activate others by pushing them to improve if you're a great devil's advocate. So, understanding your shadow side is just as important as being aware of your superpower. Now, when you're creating all of this, when you're finding all of this out, there's a formula and there's a human centered way of thinking about this as leadership. Because being a superpower, having a superpower, being a superhero, it's all about leadership. Everyone needs to be a great leader and constantly cultivate themselves and those individuals around them. Superpowers are one tool to make everything around you a lot better, and the process at work, at home, one to one, a little easier. So I'm going to give you some superpowers, and I want to see if you can relate to any of them. I'm only going to give you 6 because there's 21 of them, and if you would like all 21, you can raise your hand in the comments below, ask for it, and I'll send it to you free. It's just a simple PDF of what those superpowers are. I can send that to you. Remember to like this video, subscribe to not miss a video, and to share it among your friends, family, or anyone that you think would need this. Because I know that knowing your superpower can actually give you confidence. So let's go through superpowers. Which one are you most like? A, empath, empathy. Empathizers have remarkable powers of perception when it comes to other people. With an antenna up, they pick up the needs and the emotions around them, even when no one is saying anything. It's kind of me. B, experimentation. Experimenters have a prototyping mindset. They're able to rapidly generate many ideas, zero in the most promising ones, put them in motion, and refine along the way. They have high standards, but they're also not afraid of embarrassment or failure. Is that you? Grit. People with grit have extraordinary levels of endurance, tenacity, and focus. They are the quiet engine of the team, able to keep pushing themselves and the work until it truly is done. They pace themselves for the long haul, ignoring momentary setbacks and the lure of procrastination. D, provocation. Provocators have a super thick skin. They are much more concerned with being effective than being liked. And they routinely push the team outside its comfort zone or break up the consensus by playing devil's advocate. E, systems thinking. System thinkers are fearless above the unknown. They travel to the outer edges of a problem, then work their way back to reveal all parts of how they connect. They can see the forest and the trees and even the underground root system. Are you a systems thinking person? F, vision. Visionaries have a kind of crystal ball in their brains. They can see a future destination in vivid color. And while some details about how to get there may be a little hazy, the visionary's account is more than enough to start the team, the family, or the individual on its way. So I want you to take these superpowers and think through them. And if, like I said, you want all 21, I think it is, yeah, 21, I will send that to you. But start with these and start thinking about who you are, where you stand in that space of superpowers. Remember, superpowers excel your confidence, give you focus, make you a thinker about where you're going and how you are showing up in life. This is Edna White signing off, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, like, subscribe, and share this video. See you next time.